And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
The sound of America before it was polluted. Welcome to The Savage Nation. 855-400-7282. Couple of surprises. News, views, reviews. Long weekend. Went on forever. Thank God Halloween is over. The kids all have hangovers from the sugar drug that was given to them. The children probably can't even function in school today. The parents are really not much better off than they are. They're drunk from the Halloween event. I'm not knocking it. I'm not Mr. Whatever. What do you call it? I'm not upset over Halloween. It's a stupid holiday. I know the children love it. My kids loved it. It's a pagan holiday. What are you worshiping? Ghosts? Why don't you go lay down in a graveyard with the immigrants from Mexico on the Day of the Dead? Just go get a bed in the graveyard near you and lay down there with a bottle of booze. What a nation. Whatever. That's all. I love my country, but I don't love everything about my country. How's that? And you know something? Nature abhors a vacuum. Right now, we have a vacuum. There's no faith in this nation, no religion. I'm not going to preach to you. Do what you want. Do what you want, okay? Eat cotton candy, drink booze, cheer for the ball team, be a good American. Eat a hot dog. Pay no attention to what's going on around you. I searched all weekend for a story about the Russian airline that went down. Hundreds of people shot out of the sky, children dead, and virtually no reportage. I guess we hate Russians now. I guess the media is so much in the back pocket of the corrupt one in the White House that they don't even report on the air crash by and large. There's our backstory. Now, what did shoot the plane down? ISIS, the Nazis, are saying they shot it down over the Sinai. Now the Russians said no, it wasn't. Now, today, a news story. External impact may have caused crash. The Israelis are saying it could have been a bomb in the plane. We don't know what it is. We'll never know what it is. All we know is this. Here's what we do know. There's one religion on earth that has a large number of individuals in it who produce nothing but hate and murder. Hate, murder, and torture and enslavement. How is it possible that the world hasn't awakened to this? Look at the Nobel Prizes. Take a look at the religions of the winners of Nobel Prizes. And even if it's no religion, it's not the religion of peace. Why is it, and may I ask you again, why is it that one religion on earth produces so many hundreds of thousands of people who live to kill, who live to hurt, who live to maim? They didn't produce an airplane. They didn't engineer an airplane. They produced death and fire and mayhem. How is it that their minds are so polluted, I ask myself every day, and the world is asleep? Like sleepwalkers. I don't have to go to Halloween to see ghosts and goblins. All I have to do is look at the White House and look at Congress. They're a bunch of sleepwalkers talking about things that are irrelevant while the world is on fire. And that moron in the White House, that disgrace of a human being, goes on Saturday Night Live and does a skit while planes are falling out of the sky, countries are on fire, and he's decimating the nation and the military. That's all I want to say on the opening. I didn't even intend to say this, but I figured I'd say it anyway. So here are the headlines I was going to talk about in the Savage Nation. Let's see. Vatican arrests 2 on suspicion of leaking documents. Now, that's an interesting question. It sounds like The Godfather. What is the Vatican trying to hide by keeping so many secrets from the people? What, another open religion? Yeah, Religion Incorporated. Another wonderful religion run by a benign pope. A political pope at that. Now, here's an even better story. Bill Gates, multi-billionaire, says that capitalism cannot save us from climate change. He says we need socialism. Why is it the world's most greedy, the greediest people on the planet, insist on imposing socialism on the rest of the world? Why? Huh? Here's another headline. Pope heading to Mexico to address violence and immigration. 8-day visit. The peripatetic Pope. Look it up. It's an actual word. I learned it in high school. The peripatetic Pope. Another one who can't sit still. Another meddler that has to travel around the world to bust down borders. Why is the Pope trying to erase borders all over the world? What is behind the Pope's continued meddling in immigration issues on America's border? Why is he stimulating and steaming up the people to come crashing into our home? There are other stories. New Obama executive order will ban government from asking criminal history on job applications. That's good. Flood America with illegal aliens and then flood businesses with criminals. That makes good sense. Conflict of interest. Bill Clinton is on the board of the Commission on Presidential Debates. It doesn't get any better. And over the weekend, I received a review from ChristianMoney.com, and the headline read, "Will Blockbuster Government Zero see Michael Savage banned from the Vatican?" It kind of caught me by surprise. I thought it was another repeat of 2009. When I woke up on the Drudge Report, I read, talker Michael Savage banned from Britain. So I said, what do you mean, I'm banned from the Vatican? I didn't even apply to go to the Vatican. I never intended to go to the Vatican. I'd be afraid to go to the Vatican. It looks like catacombs to me. I did actually go to the Vatican once, well, now that I think about it. It's a great review by James L. Parrish. I linked it up on michaelsavage.com, and I put it on my Facebook site. And he talks about the Vatican. And he said, I won't be able to go there. And he's a religious guy. Well, the fact of the matter is I did go there. Way back in 1964, I did my big trip to Europe with my 20-year-old friends, mainly to look for girls in Europe who we thought were, let us say, a little freer than American girls. I mean, that's all we went. We didn't go for the culture. I mean, let's be real. I remember being 20. We went there for the culture, the museum. Well, we went to the museums, but mainly we went to the museums to look for smarter girls, that's all. But it was all about girls. That's all it was when you're 20. So we go, 22. So we go to the Vatican, and I thought it was this holy pilgrimage I was going to do. And I go to the Vatican. I put on a fresh outfit, suit, tie, and I start climbing the stairs inside the Vatican. And I get to the roof, panting and wheezing, and there's a Coca-Cola stand on the roof of the Vatican. And I remember noting it in my journal, like, what? How could they permit a Coca-Cola stand on the roof of the Vatican? Well, okay, it's a business. Like everything else on earth, it's a business. Follow the money. I mean, they got to make a buck to keep all those people in uniforms and keep the people well fed and drinking good wine. So that was the end of that. I mean, that punctured the balloon. But I really don't want to go to the Vatican. I have no application to attend the Vatican for whatever reason. I don't know why the man would say that I'll be banned from the Vatican like I'm banned from Britain. That opens the show. The phone number is 855-400-7282. I have a nice interview to play for you later with Laura Ingraham, who's the smartest person in talk radio. Laura is so brilliant and such a pleasure to talk with. Sometimes I think she and I ought to do a joint show like the George Burns and Gracie Allen kind of thing, because we have good chemistry. I haven't talked to her in a year. And it was a good interview where I wouldn't play it. I'll play some pieces from that. She has a wonderful voice. What I like about her is how smart she is. And you can hear it in her intelligence in her voice. I was once with her in a Japanese restaurant here in the Bay Area where I live, and there were a group of guys. I don't know who they were, spies. I don't know what they was, like Homeland. Two guys, like burly guys in suits in a cheap Japanese restaurant, were looking at us and speaking in Russian. So I said, do you know those guys? And she said, no. I said, well, can you listen in? And then she started to speak to them in Russian, and then I thought maybe she's a CIA agent, because I had no idea what they were talking about. I don't know whether it was about maca sushi or wasabi or ginger. I have no idea. It's the Savage Nation. Did anyone buy my book over the weekend? Am I allowed to ask? Raise your hand if you went to the bookstore and bought Government Zero, because a lot of people are buying it and I don't know where. And here's what's going to happen. You know, we in radio have to promote our own books, especially me, because I'm banned on all shows, except, one or two shows. I'll be on Alex Jones tomorrow. He's one of the few. Laura Ingraham, one of the few. Newsmax, one of the few. But by and large, I'm banned in the media. You know that. I'm blacklisted officially. We know that that's true because the very, very fair-minded people at Fox News have banned me for a number of reasons. I'm not going to complain about it, whatever. You know, there are books that take off on their own volition after a while, and they start to sell like crazy. I don't know how that happens. How is it possible that a book that is good, and mine is really good, eventually reaches a critical mass where people talk about it with their friends and it starts to sell itself? That is what I want to see happen, because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'll read some good pieces from it. If you bought it and you found a good sentence that you want to read on the air, go ahead, make my day. But really, I don't want to talk about this every day. Here's another headline. In Sweden, you hear this? What is Sweden anymore? Sweden's nothing. Sex change for children. Sweden has disappeared because they've given up their culture, their language, and their borders. Did you know that? And there is no right wing in Sweden. Their own government turned on their own conservatives who could have saved Sweden, the same way the German government has turned on the patriots and the nationalists in Germany who are not Nazis, who could save Germany from the onslaught of Syrians that Merkel, the Nazi, is bringing into our country. That's right. Why do I use the word Merkel, the Nazi? What is a Nazi? National Socialist. You tell me what Merkel is if not a Nazi. Who gives her the authority to destroy Germany's borders, language, and culture when the majority of Germans don't want it to happen? And I mean even liberal Germans don't want all those Muslim men brought into Germany. Why is she doing it? Because she is a Nazi, a National Socialist. I didn't say that she's going to put people into ovens, did I? But I did say something rather controversial, and I think the inversion is quite obvious to anyone who studies this and can think clearly. But I will tell you this. We know that Hitler was an all-around monster. Given. Okay? Given. He imposed his Germanic Nazi views upon surrounding nations by invading them, right? So what do you call a so-called leader like Merkel, for that matter, Obama, who invades his own country with foreigners who do not speak the language, do not respect the borders, and do not respect the culture? Is that not an inversion of Hitlerism? Tell me. I said it. I believe it. I believe every word I said makes sense. Okay? Fascist Nazi invades other country to impose their will on others. Tell me what you would call a leader who invades his own nation against the will of the people. Tell me what that is. Now let's go back to the other story I raised today, which is shocking. How is it that a guy like Bill Gates, who has all that money, calls for socialism? The same way that Mark Zuckerberg, for whom there is not enough money in the world, wants to break America's borders over his little stinking smelling knee. Why is that? Because greed is an illness. You know, when the Aztecs were overrun by Spanish conquistadors, they were overrun for one reason. They were overrun for gold. The Spanish, the Portuguese, in their heyday, were monsters. They did things to the natives in those countries that are beyond your imagination, and I've studied this in great detail. But what were the Spanish doing in South America and Central America, especially Central America? They were searching for gold. And after raping and pillaging and murdering their way through Central America and stealing all the gold they could from the Aztecs noted in their lore that the Europeans, meaning the Spanish, have a disease called gold fever. And they said it's a disease for which there is no cure. My friends of the Savage Nation, I would argue with you today that the billionaire class who are now flooding America with illegal aliens have a fever equal to that of the Spanish who conquered the Central Americans, namely the Aztecs. I'll be back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust to protect my wealth with gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN. This is for 10 years already. Turn it off. I'm tired of it. Find me some other German, like techno music. I'm sick of the Rammstein one already. Palestinian stabs 80-year-old Jewish woman, others in latest attack. Well, it's the religion of pieces, And as you well know, this is a good sign of what the Palestinians would do if Obama and Kerry were able to give them half of Israel. They wouldn't just stab the Jews, they would gas them, burn them, destroy them, throw them in the ocean, but keep supporting the PLO and the Palestinian cause. Go ahead. Palestinian stabs an 80-year-old Jewish woman. Probably survived the Holocaust, and she got stabbed in her own homeland. Great. But go. Keep going, you leftists. One day the knife will come to you. And who will you blame? Unbelievable. An 80-year-old woman they had to stab. Palestinians stab 80-year-old woman and others in 2 attacks. Isn't that very brave of them? Isn't that very brave of them? 80-year-old woman in the back in a street in Rishon LeZion near Tel Aviv, and then stabbed a 70-year-old man in the chest before running down the street and carrying out another attack. 19-year-old from the West Bank city of Hebron. Well, I'll tell you the truth. There's only one solution to this, and you know the Israelis are not capable of it, given the hatred of the world for Israel and the Jews. But there's only one solution to this problem. And it's a solution that you well know will never be enacted. And so the Jews may as well pack up their little valises and get ready to leave. Because if you have one side of the population stabbing, killing, burning with the backing of the world, and the other side is afraid to fight back, we know how this ends. At the same time,